What's up everyone, Anwar Thinks back once again, and today I'm going to give you my WWE Clash at the Castle fantasy card. Right, let's start off with the first match, and I've got AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, and there's a lot of reasons why I want to put these two guys together. Let's break it down right now. First of all, they're both fantastic in the ring, and they'll be able to put on a brilliant match for you, and that's one of the things that I love the most about pro wrestling, is quality in-ring entertainment. But that's not all that wrestling is about. Wrestling is also about the added storyline behind it. And for those who know, and when you know, these two both came from the Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling. One of the hottest things in pro wrestling a few years ago. So to put these two guys together, I think it'd be that extra storyline. They could also play it up on camera of, come on, we both know where we came from. I was in it at this time, you was in it at that time. We kind of crossed paths. The people I know you, and they think that I'm better than you. No, they think that I'm better than you, and then they have that kind of bickering and that kind of thing can be built into it as well. But either way, this will be a brilliant match. And also, let's not forget, Finn Balor's from Ireland. This is going to be the biggest show anywhere close to Ireland, maybe in his entire career. So we've got to get him on the card, don't we? Speaking of Ireland, I would take Becky Lynch and put her in there with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley for the WWE Raw Women's Championship, and I think that would be a brilliant match. Again, three captivating pro wrestlers, put them in there together. I like when you put three different personalities in there and you can see how they play off. That standard one-on-one match can sometimes be a little bit formulaic, but when you got three in there, they've got to work a little bit harder to make it work. And when they have to work a little bit harder, they can come up with slightly different things and things that we don't expect, because it's less formulaic, and that way we'll get an interesting match. That's the Raw Women's title, but what about the SmackDown Women's title? I had a little look at the roster, and this one is going to come across a little bit lazy, but that's because these two are just the obvious standouts, and that's why WWE have them together at the moment, and that's why I'm putting them together too. It's Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. I think it would be an absolutely brilliant addition to Clash at the Castle, and although they're already working together, you probably don't want to drag it out for that long. Maybe do some kind of injury storyline where Ronda Rousey goes away a little bit and then comes back at Clash at the Castle to reclaim the gold. When this show got announced, there was a lot of people predicting and suggesting the same thing, that Drew McIntyre should end the show by winning. But how do you do that? In my opinion, there's an obvious way, and that's obvious because it's the right thing to do. You put him in there with the world's heavyweight champion, Roman Reigns. But WWE want to protect Roman Reigns. They're making him into the next megastar. So do you want Drew McIntyre to go over him clean? Or do you want to come up with something else? Well, I've come up with that something else. In the main event for the World Heavyweight title, the Universal title, whatever it's called these days, I would have Roman Reigns defending the title against Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sheamus is way down the card at the moment, but we are still a few months out from Clash at the Castle. You can build him up with some solid wins and have him in the main event picture. You can even have him go all out and say, listen, this is my last chance to win the title. It's going to be in Cardiff, Wales, the closest to Ireland we're ever going to get a huge, massive show. This is my WrestleMania. I'm going in there for the title. Drew McIntyre will also have a similar spiel. He'll say, no, it's my turn. This is the only time we're going to get this in Britain, and I've got to do this for the British. You know, something like that. And how do you end it? You end it with Drew McIntyre getting the win over Sheamus. That way, even though you've built up Sheamus, you've built him up for a good purpose. You've built him up so you can put Drew McIntyre over in this massive stadium show in the UK without making Roman Reigns look strong. Roman Reigns loses the title without being pinned. He can then come back and be like, hey, McIntyre, I demand a rematch. Acknowledge me. And what happens? He goes on and beats him for the title down the line. But that's the problem for the UK fans for another day. Let them enjoy themselves at Clash at the Castle. We've had the world title, but how about the Intercontinental title? The thing that main evented last time the UK had a WWE stadium show. Obviously back then it was British Bulldog versus Bret Hart. Mwah! Chef's kiss. incredible. It lives on to this day as a massive, massive memory, not just for wrestling fans in the UK, but people in the UK in general who aren't fans of wrestling anymore, who weren't really fans at the time. They watched that, they loved it. They never really got into wrestling afterwards, but they had that great moment. But what do we do with the IC title now? It's obviously lower down the card. We don't have the British Bulldog anymore. We don't have a Bret Hart anymore. But what we do have is the current champion, Ricochet. And imagine if he defended that title against someone who had similar characteristics to him. Someone who not only was a wonderful good guy, but also massively athletic. Step in, Kofi Kingston. Can you imagine Ricochet versus Kofi Kingston? The spots that they could do, the way they could wow the crowd, and especially if you threw into the mix a ladder. A ladder match between Ricochet and Kofi Kingston. That could be, honestly, incredible. And that's what I would love to see thrown onto this card. But what about the Golden Boy? What about the returning Cody Rhodes? The internet darling of the moment. Everyone is so behind Cody Rhodes. What would we like to see him do? I'm not sure what you'd like to see him do, but what I would like to see him do is challenge the guy who held him down. Challenge the guy in storyline who was over him. Challenge the guy who we call Randy Orton. Can you imagine the storytelling that could go into Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton? All of this would be about legacy, talking about the stable legacy. How Randy Orton was the top dog and Cody Rhodes was the bag carrier, the water carrier. Cody Rhodes is now back to go toe-to-toe with Randy Orton and prove to everyone that he's on his level. And while we're fantasy booking, why don't we put two guys together who are proper legends, bona fide Hall of Famers? And I'm talking about former tag team champions, Edge and Rey Mysterio Jr. Why don't we put those two against each other and let them put on a show? You don't even need to build up too much of a story because this match is gonna deliver. What you could do in the run up to it though is have Edge in his little group, maybe injure Dominic Mysterio. Dominic's out. Rey wants revenge. Rey versus Edge at Clash of the Castle. Obviously you can put Edge over Rey and it's going to be a brilliant match. They will put on a fantastic in-ring performance. You can trust them. You don't need to invest too much story into it. Anything basic just to get us there. And I'll tell you what, we'll be having a good time. Now, we all know in these big stadium shows that WWE love a surprise return. Look at this last coming WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes returned. Look at the last time I was at WrestleMania back in Orlando. The Hardy Boys returned. Now, how can we get a surprise return into the story? Now, you're never going to stop the smart fans from speculating or reading the newsletters and finding out who it's going to be. So you don't need to worry about that. But what you can do is you get Seth Rollins saying, listen, I've not been booked on this show. What's going on? WrestleMania, I had to do an open challenge. Now we're having Clash at the Castle. Who's more castle-like than me? Seth Rollins. Seth turns up, he goes, right, I'm going to put out an open challenge. He puts out an open challenge and we have the returning Wade Barrett. Now, granted, American fans might be like, what? That's not a huge return, but for the UK fans, they would go banana for the return of Wade Barrett to go up against Seth Rollins. And Seth can carry anyone to a great match. So the fact that Wade's been out of the ring for a few years doesn't really matter too much now, does it? I would absolutely love that to happen. And for WWE, they save a bit of money because when you pay for a Goldberg, when you pay for an Undertaker, a Shawn Michaels, these massive, mega former superstars to return, they want millions of dollars. Wade Barrett's probably not going to ask for millions of dollars. He'll probably ask for a pretty penny, but he's going to be much more affordable. And he's going to get a massive pop if you did that. Think about it, WWE. Barrett versus Rollins. But it's not just returns that WWE like to do at these stadium shows. No. They also love a celebrity appearance. Now, going along the lines of what they've done in the last few years, they've had people like Logan Paul, Bad Bunny. I honestly don't see any British mainstream music star wanting to do it. I don't even know how many British mainstream music stars there are that cross over into the American mainstream. So why don't we just take music out of it for a second? You got Logan Paul. Who's like Logan Paul in the UK? KSI. Why don't we put Mustafa Ali, or Mustafa Ali, as he likes to be known, with KSI against the Usos for the tag team titles? You get your celebrity moment. You get the celebrity coming down. You draw into his massive fan base. It's someone from the UK. He might even get a big pop because of that. Not one like Wade Barrett, but still reasonable enough from some people anyway. You put him with Mustafa Ali, you can carry a tag team partner, no doubt. And opponents like the Usos can definitely out-carry you. I think that has got the makings of a really, really intriguing match. And then you can have these kind of on-screen opportunities between someone like KSI and a Roman Reigns in the build-up to it, where, you know, Roman's with the Usos and KSI's trying to get involved somehow, and Roman's like acknowledging they have some kind of fallout, and then the Usos step to him like, what are you saying to the big dog? And then Mustafa Ali's like, whoa, why are you picking on the little guy? Why don't you pick on someone your own size? And we get a tag team match out of it. Now, that is the end of the matches that I personally want to see, but that leaves a lot of people off it. A lot of people would love the idea of going to a massive stadium show in the UK and getting to perform. So what do? You give them a battle royal. Just like WrestleMania, give us a battle royal, put it on the pre-show, do whatever you want, and let Pete Dunne win it. Or, as he's known now, Butch. Let him win it, let him get that big moment. They're not really doing too much with him in terms of letting him really shine on the main roster, but just give him that nice moment on this mega show. Right, that is it. That is my fantasy card for WWE Clash at the Castle. That's my Be The Booker, that's my prediction, whatever you want to call it. But the important thing is what you think. So hit me up in the comment section down below and let me know what matches you want to see. Do you agree with any of the ones that I came up with? Do you disagree with any of the ones that I came up with? Did you hear me say KSI's name and absolutely want to turn this video off and be like, KSI, are you outside your mind? I want to see proper wrestling, not some YouTuber. But then again, you're watching me, so I guess I'm a YouTuber. But you know what I'm saying, a successful YouTuber. We don't want to see him. We want to support a little guy like you, but we don't want to support him because I get it. Support me, yeah, it's our friend. Anyway, let me know what you think and let me know what your matches that you want to see are in the comment section down below. Because listen, for me, this is the most excited I've been for wrestling in so long. I want to hear other people's opinions, what they think should happen. I want to hear what they don't think should happen. Do you not think they should have celebrity matches? Do you not think they should bring Wade Barrett back? Have I missed a match that should be on this card? Have I missed someone out that should be on it but isn't on there? Maybe you could say like a Braun Breaker. Maybe you could say Gable Steveson. Maybe you could throw them in there somehow. Let me know in the comment section. Hit the like button for me. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button down below and ding that notification bell. That way, every time I make a video, you will be the first person who hears about it. And trust me, in the build up to Clash at the Castle, I'm going to be doing more and more videos, hyping it up, previewing it, giving my honest opinion of how excited I am. Or, the other way, if we get closer to it and they're not really delivering and it looks like, whoa, this is looking like a bit of a rough show, 100%, I'm going to give you that as well. I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can. And, of course, when I get there, I'm going to be vlogging the entire experience. So if you can't go, if you're from America and you want to know what it's like going to shows in the UK or a massive stadium show like this, but you can't go, I got you covered. I'm going to be doing it, filming it, sharing the experience with you all, because that's what I like to do. Then afterwards, we'll have some bit of a breakdown and maybe more of an analysis of if WWE will or should do this again in the future. Anyway, I've gone on for too long. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon with more videos.